I believe that despair and hope and inspiration can exist simultaneously. I think it's true generally, certainly as we navigate our planetary crises. It, I think, shows up in a lot of our eco-psychology initiative programming. And I'm going to make the experiment to see that if even it can be present here in this particular video. And I start with a recent announcement from the Secretary General from the UN, Antonio Gutierrez, who said that we are on a highway to climate hell. And for those of us who've been paying attention to climate change and what's happening to our Earth, this isn't necessarily going to be profoundly new information or even surprising. And yet, it's further confirmation of the real crisis that we face in terms of our planet. And yes, this is going to have impacts for our energy and our food systems and our storm and our weather and our health, all of that. But what isn't getting as much attention is the psychological impacts. And this is important because the American Psychological Association is already saying that climate change is causing anxiety and depression, anger and addiction, withdrawal from relationships, difficulty with life functioning, even PTSD and suicidal ideation. So if that's already happening and the future could be even more dire and severe than that, then just think about the mental health impacts. And this speaks to a reason why a lot of young people who, along with other at-risk and vulnerable populations, will suffer the disproportionate impact of the mental health impacts from climate change. But a global study of young people found that 84% of them were at least moderately, if not severely, anxious and worried. And as this information and science comes out, it's further affirmation for why this is. And so not only is this going to affect people generally, but as the severity of storms and weather increases, we know that there's going to be a whole host of additional psychological impacts that we're starting to have research and information about. So for example, Hurricane Harvey, which happened in 2017 in Houston, 25% of respondents had PTSD symptoms. Hurricane Maria, which affected Puerto Rico and Florida, displaced countless people. Of those displaced, 44 to 66% of people had PTSD. We know from the American Public Health Association that after severe natural disasters, 54% of people have depression. So right there are just some quick snapshot statistics that reinforce that not only will there be more generalized anxiety and despair and a whole host of other mental health impacts, but we know that there's going to be really severe acute ones that are coming as the storms get worse. And so we need to take action, and we need to take action practically to reduce carbon. We need to increase electrification, but we need to take action proactively psychologically to not only mitigate the mental health impacts that are happening now, but to also prevent and reduce some of the harms that look like they're on their horizon. So you might ask, where is the hope and the uplift in this message? Because thus far I've just had a bunch of doom and gloom. And herein is where I hope to make a case that there's a reason to have some inspiration and some hope. One is because the resources and the strategies and the skills that we need to address climate change generally are already there. And they're certainly there to mitigate some of the psychological harms, to increase healing and health and resilience. And that's the inspiration for the upcoming training that we're going to be offering on mental health and climate change. What exactly can we do about what's affecting people psychologically related to climate change? And what is good is that it's a lot easier to make an impact in our communities, in the lives of our clients and our patients and our students. It's much easier to make a psychological impact and promote healing and health and resilience than it is to change the big systems and politically, economically, and otherwise that are getting in the way of a lot of the other climate actions that are so necessary. Whereas psychologically, we all can make a difference in our small lives, in our small circles, and these can ripple out, and they can not only affect those that we work with, but they benefit our communities and all the places that we live and reside. And so that's going to be the focus of our training is, yes, understanding what's happening, but more importantly, what can we do about that? And in this way, I hope for the material to be really empowering. But furthermore, I want it to be engaging. I want it to be uplifting. So not only we feel like we have the resources and the tools and the maps needed to make a difference, but we feel inspired that we can do it, as well as the process for how we go about doing it. And therein, with all of our EPI programming, I try and cater and deliver them in a way that feels interesting and informative and engaging, for our minds, our bodies, and our hearts. And so when we do that, we feel all the more ready to go out and be of service to others. And in the process that we're in service to ourselves, that we make a difference for our own well-being and health, which all of us know can be impacted. And furthermore, when we do this with other people, like-minded, from across many regions and locations who work with many types of people, we find something else. We find something that's beautiful and hopeful and inspiring to be part of circles and communities and connections and conversations where not only are we talking about what needs to be done, but how we are doing it. How we are doing it actually feels really positive and enriching and uplifting for our hearts and our spirits. And so that's my commitment with our upcoming mental health and climate change training on June 21st. I hope you're going to join us, whether it's because you want to better understand what's happening and, more importantly, what can be done, but also because you want to be part of the conversations. You want to be part of the change and coming together with others to not only make a difference around us, but also make a difference within us. So if you're interested, please check out our website. You can reach out with more questions, and I look forward to being a part of this with many of you. Be well. As always, nature knows the way.